Okay, I'm going to start the video kind of zoomed in on this Hobo stove. It's the latest one that I've made. What you're looking at is, it looks like a tin can because it is, and has a hole in it for putting the fuel in. Inside the stove you'll see an enamel cup. It's full of wood that I've been collecting to try the stove. Now I'm going to zoom out. And some background. This isn't my first Hobo stove. There have been many. Hole for the fuel. This slot for the handle and the cup, so I can pack this thing down. And hopefully what we'll find out, if it drafts well enough, that fuel in one side, heat and smoke out the back side. Inside the stove I have some fire starting stuff, ferro rod and a lighter. This is an alcohol stove that I made, and so with your Hobo stove you can also put other fuel sources in there for cooking. These are pot supports. That's something else that I want to find out from this stove, is if the pot supports can take the heat. If they can't take the heat, I'll have to use a larger bush pot or something on the stove, because of course my cup won't sit there. And so I've been peeling bark, pine bark. I've been whittling up lots of slivers of pine, and which I'll start putting in the stove quickly, I think. There's a bunch of this stuff. Hopefully it'll burn. And so anyhow, hopefully I cut it up short enough to fit. Okay, let's get some fire on this thing and set that cup on there. Okay. I'm going to turn the stove a little bit so you can see in there. This is some birch bark that I have shredded somewhat, and I'll shred a little more, and I'll put it in the stove. It's been raining for days. Some of this stuff, I don't know if it'll burn. We will find out. Okay. And so normally I would be concerned with boil time. I would want to know how fast the stove will boil 16 ounces of water, and that's because that's what I did with my other stoves. Okay, I'm going to turn this thing around so I can see in there and maybe light a piece of birch bark. Thought I had more birch bark here somewhere. All right. Okay, normally I would be concerned with boiling water. I have some tea that I made yesterday that I want to warm up. Okay, I'm going to fold the pot supports over. These are just chunks of heavy wire. Add a little more birch bark. Oh, okay, it's not a match that wants to work. Okay, these matches obviously have seen better days. I've had them in this can for a long time. Oh, uh-oh. Okay, alrighty. Oh, I'll leave it sideways and you'll be able to see if it's drafting out where it should. Okay, and so my tea that I made yesterday that I want to warm up. Okay. Alrighty. There it is. And so far, whoops, oh. Ooh. And so if I was burning longer, I would be feeding fuel in this hole. Maybe I simply won't need to. And so that's how it would work. And so, as we can see, here's the hot side where the fuel's going in. We can see smoke coming out from around the cup and on the back side, and that's what I want it to do. And so, looks like it works. Obviously, I can tell by this smoke that this wood is pretty damp. This piece of wood I've been whittling on, it's been laying on the ground for a while. It just looked clean enough. Okay. This pine bark has seen some rain, but it was on the tree and seems to burn. Alrighty. Oop, okay. And I'll keep feeding in whatever smaller pieces of wood I have. And so that's it, my latest Hobo stove, and the idea is that it will be very compact. The cup will fit in the stove, fire starting stuff will be in the cup, and it'll travel that way. And probably I'll also have some kind of fry pan or a bush pot, something more than just a cup. And I don't want my tea to boil. I just want it good and hot. So I got to keep an eye on things. And okay, so anyways, I don't see the flames are drafting out of the hole where the fuel goes in, and they're drafting out of where they're supposed to. And that tells me that it works well. I don't need to cut more holes. Okay. I'm looking at the pot supports to see if they're getting hot and bending. Actually, they may not get time to be hot and bending because the tea's getting hot. Okay. And of course, if you're backpacking somewhere where you know you can find some wood and fuel. This would be a very economical stove. In the past, one of my Hobo stoves with 1 page of newsprint from those advertising papers that you see all over the place, 1 or 2 sheets of it, I could boil 16 ounces of water really fast. And okay, I gotta call it quits here because my tea is getting too warm. Slow down on the fuel a little bit. So anyways, that's my design, my latest Hobo stove. It's dirt simple. As we're finding out right now, it works. The pot holders will support the cup. And keep in mind, when I put something larger on there, it will have less room to draft out around, and it'll simply be drafting out the slots for the cup handle. And okay, I better I think my tea is getting too hot. Okay, so what we found out is it works. It works well. It's compact enough. Now that I've done this field test here in camp, I know that this is one that I will take backpacking. Uh-oh, okay. I think we're about there. Like I said, I don't want the tea to boil. Oops. Okay, all right. It's time to get the tea off there. Wow. Yow. As I'm pouring the tea, and I'm looking in the stove, I'm looking how evenly things burned, and if it drafted well, and it did, and the pot supports did not heat up and collapse. They just weren't in there that long. It worked. Once I found a match that worked, one match lit it up, and we are good to go. Okay, there it is. Thanks from Lat 44 Outdoors. In Facebook, I'm David Morris. There's a lot of them. I don't know if you would find me there, but thanks viewers and subscribers. Thanks a bunch for subscribing. I hope you like the video. It's just a dirt simple Hobo stove that I had to test to decide if I wanted to take it backpacking. Alright, thanks much, and I'm gonna get that fire put out. Thanks again from Lat 44 Outdoor. So that piece of tin can became a stove.